All right, what's going on, ladies and DeGents? Welcome back to another fun-filled episode of the Distinguished DeGents podcast. You're one of many homes of degenerate gambling. I'm one half of the Distinguished DeGents. My name is Steve, Big Bucks, a beta, and joining me as always, it is my co-host, my partner in gambling. It is Jason, Money Mansman. Money Mansman, happy holidays to you and yours. I know you've been a very busy man. We skipped the Week 17 recap, but how's everything on your end? What's going on?
Yes, very busy week, but glad to be here to talk some football.
Hell yeah. Quick opening remarks. We really didn't do the Week 17 recap, so we're not going to go over any of those games for the most part. My biggest thing with Week 17, I got to say, what pissed me off the most and like what I think the fucking Denver collapse and that loss in overtime against the Bengals. I mean, did not think that a random Saturday with so much playoff implications would have game of the year potential. I don't know if it was Cade York or whatever, but shanks a fucking 30-yarder, gives Denver life. And then Sean Payton, honestly, he's a fraud. That was my takeaway. Played too conservative in overtime in a must-win game. And now you have to win Week 18 against Kansas City. Just pathetic.
It's tough situation for the Broncos. Feels like they should have clinched a long time ago. But the beautiful thing is you beat Carson Wentz and you're in the game. So that's all you need to do. I think you got a chance to do it.
Yeah. Other notes though, your Buffalo Bills. A lot of sharps said to take the 9.5 with the Jets, even though they were dead man walking. Your Bills just came in and basically trounced the shit out of Aaron Rodgers, completely shut him out, completely embarrassed him on national television with Tony Romo, Jim Nantz, pulls himself out of the game and puts in Tyrod. Tyrod immediately scores 2 touchdowns. You're the Bills fan. What was your takeaway with just that one real quick?
No, God bless the Buffalo Bills. They did very well. That was good. Bills beat the Jets. That's what they do. I had a feeling it went one of two ways. Either the Bills were going to struggle or the Bills were going to do what they do to the Jets, and that game was over. That game was over midway through the third quarter. And it was so bad, Mitch Trubisky got a passing touchdown. So Bills are the number 2 seed. Very good that don't have to worry about Buffalo. Don't have to worry about them this week.
Not this week. And then finally, last point I'll make, Monday Night Football, Detroit, San Francisco. Once again, a game did not anticipate being a game of the year. Sorry, my dogs are going fucking stupid for no reason. But anyways, San Francisco literally showed up. This was like their Super Bowl last game before they go out. And Brock Purdy, God, looking a lot more like Jimmy Garoppolo, like a shorter version of him. Just a disappointing end to that game where it was really back and forth. You kind of thought the Lions were on upset alert. And then Brock Purdy throws 2 interceptions, and that was just the difference in the game.
Feels like that's been San Francisco all year, right? Like they've put together some good efforts, but they just seem to fall short in the biggest moments. And Brock Purdy, again, he had an MVP type year last year. Christian McCaffrey basically carried the team, and you're seeing without really, you get a downgrade with Purdy this year. You get no McCaffrey. The team just hasn't been able to compensate for it.
Not at all. Excuse me. I'll give out my final ATS record for Week 17 going into Chaos Week, aka Week 18. I went 8-5 ATS, 9-4 on the money line. Still wasn't good enough though to beat Money Mansman in the Caser race, where you are now up by 1. We are going into Week 18, winner take all. It seems like. Mansman, what was the Caser score if you remember it? I just know you went up.
I don't even remember now.
And was it the money line you went up on, or was it came down to Green Bay and Minnesota? I know that.
It was actually It was ATS. You were one ahead in the money line. And
Mm.
Minnesota winning, we tied in the money line. And ATS, it was tied going into the Minnesota game. We had 5 differences. We were 2 apiece. And then the fifth game, I went up 3-2 in the ones we had differently. So.
Gotcha. All right. So with that said, we're off the recap. We're on to week 18. This is chaos week. This is usually a week we've been very up or very down on. This year, once again, nothing but divisional matchups. It seems like a lot of playoff implications still on the line. Although a lot of teams have been locked into either the wild card or their division winners, but seeding seems to be the part where it's a lot of up in the air. A lot of teams are going to be watching the Saturday games. But yeah, Mansman, what I know you were very busy, but what is your advice into approaching this kind of week? Do you continue to follow the favorites trends? Do you follow the division favorites trends? Do you completely wash it? This is essentially a new week. This is preseason. Too many unknowns. Just go with your gut kind of handicap.
I think in this particular week, you really have to play your gut. You got to throw the stats out the window. You have to you gotta really think about sort of what stands out to you and make your best plays possible.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm in the boat of you have to play the spots specifically. That's my advice.
Could you pause a minute? I don't know if you could pause the live stream. Can you pause the live stream for a minute?
I can't. I could take you out though. Everything okay?
Take me out. Why don't we take a quick break?
Okay. Yeah. We could do that. We'll be right back. All right, kids, we're back. I'm putting Money Management back on if he's still here. He's currently got a situation going on. I don't know if he's going to get back on to explain, but he is unable to finish the show. He had a situation come up that he has to handle. So it's going to be a solo episode with just me. There he is.
Yes, I had something come up. Big Bucks, thankfully, is going to take over the rest of the show in my absence. He is very understanding. So appreciate you, Big Bucks, in taking things over. And hopefully I'll be back for the wild card episode. So
we'll look forward to having you back on the wild card episode. Holidays are a crazy time, and hopefully we can all give out some good picks. Good luck. Make sure you get the contests out, and good luck to you, buddy.
Absolutely, buddy. Thanks.
Yep. All right, we're on a solo adventure. Good luck. God bless, kids. Let me see if I got the games. I'm ready. I'm good to go. So sorry for the delay. We're going to make this as quick as humanly possible. Let me get my phone real quick. I was going to see if I can get Commissioner Kirkland on, but that's not going to happen. All right, but we'll go ahead and start. It is the Saturday games. We're starting with Cleveland traveling to the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are literally the biggest spread I think I've seen on the year. 19.5-point favorites. They are minus 4,000 on the money line. Cleveland is a 15-1 road dog, plus 19.5 for them. Over-under is 41.5. And really kind of a weird approach, Joe's move. 56% of the bets on Cleveland plus 19.5, but the money is on Baltimore. Slightly 53, so kind of down the middle. And look, here's my take. This isn't going to be like a crazy best bet or anything, but this is the start of the divisional road trend. So favorites have been covering all year. I've been covering a lot of the stats and trends. So these are kind of my numbers based on the things we handicapped at the time of the episode. So AFC divisional road underdogs this year, leading up to week 18, they're 6-25 straight up. They are 12, 18, and 1 ATS. Sorry about that. All right. Favorites on Saturdays. This is the new trend I'm going to mention. New trend, favorites on Saturdays. They are 5-0 straight up and 4-1 ATS. So Baltimore, what's their motivation going into this? You know, I'm pretty sure they've clinched their playoff berth, which they have, but this is a win and they get the division. You lock up to 3. You lose for whatever reason, you're now watching Cincinnati and Pittsburgh to see if they keep the 3 and get to host the LA Chargers, essentially, or do you fall to the 5 slot, go back to Houston? And one can make the argument that the Ravens could literally play all of their backups. Even if they lose this spot, it may be more beneficial. I personally think they want the home spot. They want to look real good. I think Derrick Henry needs 1 touchdown for an incentive. So it sounds like, Ravens first half could be a good play, except that number is really high. So I don't know if I really want to advocate that. Depending on if you consider this a primetime game, because it will be on ESPN, you're getting a primetime Lamar. He's 6-1 straight up, 5-2 ATS this year, including the Christmas and other Saturday games that the Ravens have played in. So not a spot you normally want to fade. I don't fade primetime Lamar. And I'm not even going to get into the fact that it's Bailey Zappi. It's not a guy I really want to deal with. If you were getting 17.5 earlier and you went for it crazily enough, thinking this number got up, congratulations, you were smart. I think any other week, or really if it was Jameis Winston in at quarterback and you were getting 17.5, I'd be all over this Cleveland line. But honestly, this is a Ravens or nothing game. Ravens win margin plus 14 or minus 13.5 if you want to tease it down. It is minus 220 if you really feel like laying the juice, but I can't advertise that. I don't know. If you're that scared to lay this big of a number with the Ravens, don't bet it at all. Or honestly, if for whatever reason you just think that number is way too high, you think it's wrong, but you're trying to still play Baltimore, trust me, I fall into that trap millions of times. You probably should just bet the other side and take Cleveland. But for me, this is a Baltimore trend all the way. All right, here we go. Next up, Saturday, 8 o'clock, actual prime time. Sorry, Commissioner Kirkland may or may not be joining us. We'll find out. Saturday, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh. For the Cincinnati Bengals' chances to make the playoffs. The Bengals coming off the overtime win against my Denver Broncos. Bengals -2.5, -130. Over-under is 48.5 points. The Steelers are a +110, home underdog, +2.5. Cincy is a public road favorite, 79% of the money and 71% of the bets. Why are they a favorite? I couldn't tell you. They're kind of coming off an overtime win against a tough Denver Broncos defense. Now they have to go up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. AFC divisional road favorites, they're 11-5 straight up, but they're only 7-8-1 ATS. So basically, they win. They only cover half the time. This game opened at a pick'em. It's now clearly in favor of Cincy. I am going to do this. This is going to be rough. At least I think it's going to be rough considering how bad the Steelers have been playing. But this is actually going to be my dog of the week. Give me Mike Tomlin as a home dog one more time. One more time. There it is. Look, to take this spot, you do have to ignore a good bit of the trends here. And there's a couple of other trends that I'm just going to support instead. It's Joe Burrow as a road favorite against the Steelers. Pittsburgh beat this team the last time they played in essentially a shootout. Russell Wilson, I think, had 4 touchdowns in that game. I'm going to ignore that since he's coming off the overtime win, a game they probably should have lost outright. Game they almost blew once again, but somehow magically, like I said, Sean Payton was unable to remember who he was as a head coach. The Bengals have lost 4 of their last 5 against Pittsburgh. They're 2-6 straight up in divisional road games since 2022. And you're getting Tomlin as a division home dog. 4 straight he's won. And now this is like a must win for both teams, like I mentioned, because all I've heard is, well, Cincy needs to win to keep the playoffs alive. Cincy needs to win if they want a chance. And that's just the only angle I've been hearing. But no one seems to really remember that Pittsburgh needs this win too. Pittsburgh needs to win so they can either win the division if Baltimore somehow loses, or if the Ravens win, okay, well, the division's not up in the air. Well, guess what? Now they kind of have to look at themselves and say, all right, well, if we win, we get the 5 seed, and that's locked in. Do you want the 5 seed to go to Houston and play them, or do you want to be the 6 seed and then have to go back to Baltimore and play them a third time? I think logically speaking, you would want to play the Houston Texans, considering they're absolutely decimated with injuries. And I just don't think playing Baltimore in the playoffs is exactly ideal. And Pittsburgh, I think my understanding is they're going all out in this game too. I don't think they're planning on benching anyone. I haven't seen anything in the news saying they're going to bench people. Pittsburgh, they also have 10 days rest. They went through the Philadelphia Eagles, Kansas City Chiefs, and the Ravens earlier within 10 days. And I think that is an insane amount of games and an insane fucking insane schedule to go through, I think, for any team in the NFL. And that's a defensive gauntlet that, like, I kind of look back and say, no wonder Russell Wilson struggled to get through that. But now he's getting the extra rest. They still looked okay versus Baltimore. I know they didn't win or really cover as a dog in that spot, but the rest advantage to me going up against an overtime team as a, Tomlin as a dog, I'm 100% backing it. Tomlin 14-2 ATS after losing by 20 or more the week prior. I just love the smash spot here for Pittsburgh, so we are taking him as the dog. All right. Moving on, we're on to the Sunday slate. It's Carolina at Atlanta. Atlanta is a now 7.5 point home favorite. They are hosting Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers. Basically, situation here is a win. I don't think it's a win and end, but I think Atlanta needs to win and Tampa needs to lose for the Falcons to get in. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at right here. So Panthers have been eliminated. Falcons need the win. Just to, again, another spot where they need to keep playoff hopes alive. NFC divisional road underdogs. So this would be for the Panthers. They're only 7-15 straight up, but 11-11 ATS. So this is a spot where like NFC road dogs, they cover, they don't necessarily win. And on one hand, I look at this game and I say, you want to bet -7.5 on Michael Penix Jr., a rookie quarterback in his third start. That's never a good idea. But on the other hand, you're betting against history on Bryce Young on the road, where, you know, I'll remind the world, he's only won one road game ever in his career. That was back in 2023. He is 1-4 ATS as a division road underdog. Bryce Young actually has not cracked over 20 points on offense in a road game since that October win in 2023. And Atlanta, on the other hand, they're 4-1 straight up as home favorites. They've covered 3 of their last 4, albeit that was ugly Kirko games. Otherwise, I really don't have the strongest feel for this game because I think Atlanta does win this outright. And I'm not sold on Michael Penix Jr. He's really, to me, just putting up Kirk Cousins numbers, but not as many turnovers. And I think that's just been the difference with this Atlanta team, is that when Kirko isn't having a turnover curse struck on him, and you know, you look at Bijan Robinson, his numbers look the exact same. I don't see anything really different. But I look at the last matchup. Kirko put up a 19 for 30 stat, 225, one touchdown. And that was a 38-20 win. I think Penix should be able to put up similar numbers. I wanted to get to Carolina. The Bucs rush defense, I think that was a primary reason. They had belt to ass last week. The Falcons defense has millions of concerns, but this Panthers offense without Chuba Hubbard, I want no parts of Carolina. No JC Horn. But I am going to make this one of my best bets. This is going to be my under of the week. The total is 48.5 points. And I just think that's crazy. Atlanta has been a dead under team at home all season, 6-2 to the under in their eight home games. And Carolina, like I mentioned, they have not gotten to 20 on the road in well over a year. And the possibility that they even score close to that, considering the over-under number, I think is at 19.5 now. Watch the Bucs game. You're going to realize how down and out this team is. And again, Michael Penix, I don't think he really has to do a lot. I think he could just keep this a small, boring game. I see this being like a 28-7 victory. So I'm taking Atlanta. I know it's rough, but I can't take Bryce Young anymore. Let's see here. Next up, NFC East battle. Dallas Cowboys hosting the Washington Commanders, a.k.a. the Commies, a.k.a. the Redskins, a.k.a.
Washington Redskins, go f*** yourself.
The Commanders are laying 6.5, -290. Over-under is 44.5. Cowboys are 6.5 home underdog, +235. It looks like betting splits are in favor of Washington, 81% of the money, 74% of the tickets. This is going to be my fade of the week. I am fading this Commanders team, also coming off of an overtime game against a way inferior opponent. And this is the last divisional road stat I'm going to give out. So NFC divisional road favorites, really big on the money line this year, 14-4 straight up. In terms of ATS, though, they have only gone 10-8, so slightly above 50%. Here's why I'm fading the spot, and here's why I'm fading this trend. The Commies are locked into the wild card. There's really not much motivation here. And they should want to beat the Cowgirls. They should want to lock up this 6th seed and stay in that 6 and not drop to 7. They're going to fight like hell, apparently, to get the 6th seed, according to Dan Quinn. And really why I think they want to is, you look at the seeding right now. If they win, they most likely either travel to Los Angeles to face the Rams, or they potentially face the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a Week 1 rematch. I think that would be interesting for the script writers in the NFL. But once again, we're getting another Week 18 rematch from 2023 when Dak put belt to ass on Riverboat Ron, which was also a Week 18 rematch from 2022 when the Commies put belt to ass to Dallas. So, I think in that trend, like maybe there's a revenge factor. These teams do not like each other. I just look at the Commies record versus NFC East teams, and the fact that I'm being asked to lay 6.5 is a shocker because Dallas is at home, which is another spot where they've been terrible. But Washington in division road games, they're only 2-5-1 straight up, 3-5 ATS since 2022. So literally, if this was any other team, Washington laying 6.5, you can make the argument. Divisional spots, they tend to choke. They tend to play games close. I mean, every game you've seen this year, I think even the Giants may have been the one exception this year, but every other year, they would lose to Daniel Jones. They would lose to the Dallas Cowboys. They would lose to Philly. And really, their only covers were as underdogs. They didn't really cover as favorites. And one of those 4 losses, by the way, in that divisional road favorites trend, that 14-4, one of those 4 losses was Washington the last time they played Dallas, and they lost to Cooper Rush. They almost lost to Atlanta last week because of a missed field goal. They almost lost to another backup quarterback in Philly the week prior. Prior to that game, they blew a 17-0 lead to Spencer fucking Rattler. And they almost lost on a failed 2-point conversion. This team is literally like, with the rookie quarterback, Jaden Daniels, they're literally hanging on by a thread, it seems like to me. And like every time I hear about this Commanders team, it's about how great Jaden Daniels is, how their future looks bright. They're just such a great team. And I'm kind of watching them and I'm like, this is a team that's fading. They are starting to like fall apart before our eyes. Marshawn Lattimore, I think, again, is injured, so he's not playing again after just one game. So I just think if Dallas is going to lose, they lose by 3 in last-minute fashion, kind of like every other Commanders game. And I wouldn't be shocked if Dallas wins this outright. So I'm taking Dallas plus 6.5 in my fade of the week. All right, and let me set this up real quick because I'm moving on, but it is the Green Bay Packers. They are hosting this time the Chicago Bears. Yeah, not much nice things to say here about the Chicago Bears. They're pretty much on auto fade. Buffalo Bills blow hard. I'm pretty sure this is Manza. Am I worried about the Ravens? When would leave the Steelers nothing to play for? No, because they need the seed. It's a seeding situation. Who do you want to play in the playoffs? That's my answer to that. I kind of went over that earlier, but I'm moving on to Chicago, Green Bay. Yeah, Green Bay laying 10.5 at home, minus 550. Bears plus 410. Over unders 41.5. Green Bay 68% of the money, 62% of the tickets. So it seems like the public is all over Green Bay here. Everybody say it with me. Green Bay owns the Bears. Matt LaFleur owns the Bears. The Chicago Bears are on absolute auto fade. Just bet the 10.5. Bears 1-5-1 ATS as road underdogs under Caleb Williams. Bears are 2-15 against division opponents going back to 2022. And the Packers are coming off of a loss. They're 3-1 ATS this season, 75%. Those numbers are half my handicap. The other half is pretty much that they just lost against the Vikings. They're now getting a kind of weakened Bears that really absolutely had nothing to play for it. I would say they're playing for pride, but I think Caleb has a different type of pride that he's considering, not with the Bears, but speculation. I think them playing at the same time as Washington, it's the same mindset. I think they're playing for that 6th seed rather than the 7th. Considering historically 7th seeds have not fared well in this new playoff format. So I think if Washington loses, Green Bay is going to come out at halftime even stronger. I think if they scoreboard watch and Washington pretty much is just, I'm wrong, and they're dominating the Dallas Cowboys, maybe then we see the backups come in. Maybe you live bet Chicago at that point, depending on how much they're down by. But like again, for Green Bay, do you want to try to lock up the 6 and end up going to either LA or Tampa, or do you want to be the 7th seed and then have to go to Philadelphia and play against, Jalen Hurts if he comes back with arrested Saquon Barkley? I don't think they want that. I think they'd rather get the win. So I think they are fighting for something. Last season there was a similar situation, except the Packers I think were 8-8 at the time, so I think they were playing for a wild card spot. They hosted the Bears in that game. It was 17-9. Yeah, not my best bet, but what's the alternative? You're gonna lay 10. You're gonna catch 10.5 with a Caleb Williams. Chicago will get up. Tell bitch ass Caleb Williams to get up. Tell him he needs to get up after that last sack he took for holding on to the ball for 10 seconds. He should have got out 10 weeks ago when he had a winning record. So why are we going to do it here in week 18? I couldn't fucking tell you. So I got nothing more to say on that game. I'm moving on. Maybe. I think I am. All right. Moving on. It's the Houston Texans. We got a battle for the AFC South. Houston Texans catching 1.5. They are a division road underdog. Plus 104 on the money line. They are traveling to the Tennessee Titans, the worst ATS team in all of history in the NFL. Over-under is 36.5. Titans minus 122, laying the minus 1.5. Texans are big public road dogs, 69% of the money, 71% of the bets. Every sharp handicapper I've listened to over this week, they love the Titans in this spot. And look, I want to emphasize, I fully understand the sharp angle on here. They are the worst ATS team. They're a division home favorite for once, and that's a spot that normally favors teams well. And there's this week 18 chaos angle where, the shit team should probably win outright because the Texans have absolutely nothing to play for here. They've locked up the 4. They have nothing but pride to play for here, and maybe a revenge angle considering they lost the last time they played. And that's not even taking into account how bad the Texans have looked in their last 4 or 5 games. I mean, they have just been dreadful to watch on TV. My thinking in general is, what would I do on any other week? And I'm getting the Texans plus a point in a revenge game, especially where a line is ping pong, where Texans were favored, then the Titans, then Texans, now back to the Titans. Do you trust Mason Rudolph? Do you trust Will Levis to win outright? Forget covering for a minute. Like, do you just trust them to win in a split quarterback game that supposedly will happen with Coach McDaniel? I don't trust it. If betting on Tennessee was not profitable through week 6, and it wasn't profitable through week 10, and it wasn't profitable through week 17, other than the week 18 chaos angle, why all of a sudden is it profitable here? Why all of a sudden should we be smashing this spot? And potential donkey pick of the week, I'm going to stick with my gut, like we kind of went over earlier. My gut says to take the Texans as a road underdog. I think Davis Mills is going to be getting the start, and look, he's serviceable, but it's like, let's be honest, it's not like CJ Stroud was really lighting it up. It's not like, they have great players anymore. It's not like Stephon Diggs is out there. I mean, really, it's Joe Mixon and nobody else. And that's even if he plays the full game. So, like I said, I get the angle of why you would go with Tennessee, but they're 0-4 ATS as home favorites. I'm not going to do it. I can't get behind it. Need to pick a couple dogs this week. The Texans seem like one that I could back kind of comfortably, but like I said, potential donkey pick of the week. All right, next up, it's another AFC South battle. One other rematch, obviously, but it is the Jacksonville Jaguars. They are now catching 3.5 on FanDuel against the Indianapolis Colts on the road. Over-under is 43.5 points. And the Jags are plus 166 road dogs. Colts minus 198 on the money line. Jags getting 55% of the tickets, but the Colts are getting 52% of the money. So another pros Joe situation here. Again, normally the flow chart says you take the Jags in this spot. They've won 4 of the last 5. 7 straight matchups, they would have either won or covered this 4.5 number because they've won by less than 7. Normally, the Colts would be able to beat a backup quarterback such as Drew Lock and be alive in the playoff race. But, after last week, I'm not really sure I know what normal is with this Indianapolis Colts. Both teams are dead. Both teams have nothing to play for except for draft position. But the Jags are kind of stuck with Trevor Lawrence right now, so I don't think this is a game they're necessarily interested in tanking. I know the Colts are royally pissed off at their performance against the Giants. Pat McAfee pretty much just blew this team up, embarrassed them publicly, shamed them. Anthony Richardson, it sounds like, is trending towards missing this game. So it looks like we are going to get Joe Flacco once again, where I'm even more hesitant to start than I'm not 100% sure I even know what to do with this game, but I'm gonna take the angle of I don't want Mac Jones. I don't like the Jags. They're 1-7 on the road this year. I think even if they do decide they're going to come out and play hard one more time for Dougie P before he essentially gets fired, the Colts, I think, will win this. They should win this. Mac Jones literally has beaten the Tennessee Titans, and that's fucking it. I think the Colts are better than the Titans. I think they're better than the Raiders, who beat Mac Jones. I think the Titans are slightly better, I think the Colts are slightly better than the Jets, who also beat the Jags and lost to the Colts. And the Colts this year, they're the best ATS team against division opponents this year somehow. 5-0 ATS. They're undefeated. I think they make this one 6. It's like I think the angle of Mac Jones is going to lead this team to a victory. I really only seen it once, and every other bad team he's faced, he's pretty much been a pumpkin. So I'm not going to overthink it, and I'm taking the Colts here as the home favorite. All right, and moving on, what is the next game? Will it pull up in time? Probably not, but that's what we're here for. Oh, here we go. It's Mansman's favorite. It's the Buffalo Bills. In a game that really doesn't matter to them. They're laying 2.5 on the road against the New England Patriots. Over under 36.5 points. The Bills are -180 favorite. Patriots plus 152, and the line has actually just updated on me. It is now 3.5 in favor of Buffalo. Mitch Trubisky looks like will probably be coming in at some point, but it sounds like Josh Allen will get the start just to continue his streak. Buffalo, 76% of the money, 78% of the bets. Last time these two teams played, New England had a decent-sized lead. Buffalo mounted a strange comeback. They won 24-21. Now this number has significantly decreased due to the fact it's week 18. And this is probably going to be another like pros Joes type of game because I don't think there's really a lot of sharps on New England. Ignoring historical trends and ignoring how bad the Patriots have been as home underdogs, I think the fact that they're starting Drake May is questionable, considering how banged up he got last week against the Chargers. Now he has to go up against Buffalo again because per their offensive coordinator, Alex Van Pelt, well, we're playing to win. No offense, Alex. You shouldn't have been playing to win like for the last 6 fucking weeks, considering you've lost 6 straight. And now the Bucks, now Vegas, even with Buffalo's backups, they want me to take only 3.5. I can't get there. I can't do it. And no offense to Buffalo, they've either been playing with backups or they've looked like backups most of this year. And they're just a winning team. And I think even with a Ray Davis, Mitch Trubisky, whatever their third string tight end is, it's not Dawson Knox or Dalton Kincaid. I just wonder, is this another game the Bills just unnecessarily get fat on before the playoffs with their backups? Because quite frankly, I don't think the Patriots are going to finish strong. The Chargers game was like very telling to me. The minute they faced adversity, the minute Drake May was pulled, that team crumbled. And I think the Pats qualify as that close your eye special trend from the SGPN guys. They underperformed the spread by 30 last week. Now they're catching points again. I can't make the Bills my best bet. I was very tempted to do it. I couldn't get there. And if Mansman was here and had an angle that would tell me to stay away from the Bills, I'd be open to it. My bet here for this game, this line is way too low on the total at 36.5. So this is going to be my over of the week, over 36.5 points. Let's see here. I think we got Bills. Josh Allen will be starting. Would not surprise me if he plays for most of the first half. Yeah, so Bills' first half, I think, is going to be my my other play. Bills first half, but this is also going to be, like I said, my over of the week. My thinking is this number's way too low. The Bills defense, if they play on backups, I'm not sure how you like them performing against New England. Because for the way I see it, it's either New England does play competitive and they score against a Bills defense that has been questionable all year, or it's going to end like the 40-3 game all over again, and Buffalo will just like trounce this Patriots team unnecessarily. And if Josh Allen does play that first half, I could see them getting to like 21 in that first half on their own, and then this over will be nothing by the third quarter. Yep. Bills have a history performing these types of games. Well, hopefully I'm on the right side here. We're going to hope. But yeah, Bills money line over. That could be a fun little neat parlay. If I don't know what Josh Allen's like rushing line is yet. I don't know if it's been said. A lot of the player props have been up and down, but like Josh Allen, like under rushing but over points and them to win, I could see that being a play. Maybe like a Dalton Kincaid. I don't know what Bills guys needs incentives. I haven't seen anything in the news or anywhere about guys needing any money, but those could be fun angles to look out for as well. But otherwise, yeah, again, not a spot I'm really just going to overthink. I think I just don't see New England. I don't know why New England's going to show up. They really have nothing to play for. And I think if Drake May does end up getting pulled and we have to see Jacoby Brissett, it's not going to be like the Tyrod Taylor situation. I just think Jacoby's no good. I think he needs to retire. Oh, crap. I did mess it up. Give me one quick second because I'm moving on. Okay. Another game, really meaningless. It's the other NFC East battle. It's the New York Giants traveling to the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles are laying 2.5. They're minus 142 at home. Drew Lock and the New York Giants are plus 2.5, plus 120. The over-under is 37.5 points. Philly getting 77% of the bets and 78% of the money. Week 18, 2023, the Eagles got trounced in a meaningless game against Daniel Jones to go one and done in the playoffs. It's now week 18 in 2024. And now the Giants have to go and catch 3, or it was 3, now it's 2.5. I really don't got to play here. I've been back and forth on this one. When in doubt, I'm taking the points. I'm going to go with Daniel Jones, even though I don't think it's the right side. I really do think, you know what? No, I'm changing my pick. I'm going with Philly. I think Giants just came off their Super Bowl. They came off their big win against the Colts. And one of the big things we do on this show, fade the team coming off their Super Bowl. They look good. Oh my God, they have life. They just lost the number 1 pick. What the fuck are they doing? Dysfunction. Looks like Philly's third string quarterback is going to be starting in this one, if I'm not mistaken. Saquon Barkley will not be playing in this game. He will. Jalen Hurts is ruled out for the Giants, so Tanner McKee is going to be the starter. I kind of said this last week when the Eagles played the Cowboys. Cooper Rush is just really bad, and the Eagles trounced them the first time they played. They trounced them the second time. Both times, at least last week, Eagles' backup quarterback looked pretty good. He looks serviceable to me. Giants on the road, they do tend to perform better than they do at home. And normally this is the kind of spot where I actually initially wanted to take the Giants because this is technically the spot where the Giants, and for whatever reason, they just play hard for Brian Daboll. I think he's got a weird end of season record where I think it's week 17 and week 18. He's got a 5-0 or 6-0 ATS record. So for some reason, these teams they tend to let it all out at week 18. Eagles really had nothing to play for. So for me personally, it's a no play. For the sake of the contest, I'm going to go with the Eagles now. If it's a 2.5, but I think if it's 3.5 or higher, I may switch it to the Giants. But I think Eagles end up getting this one done. I just think that if the Eagles could beat a Dallas Cowboys team very easily with a third stringer. I think they should be able, in theory, to do the same thing to a Giants team. All right, last Sunday 1:00 game. It's the New Orleans Saints traveling to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs are laying 14.5 points. They are minus 1,200 on the money line. Saints are plus 750. Over under 43.5. Tampa, 83% of the money, 76% of the slips on FanDuel. Once again, I don't really have too much here. I don't think 14.5 is enough here, especially for Coach Rizzi. Coach Rizzi is not necessarily a winner. I remember him more as a backup coach. On all fours, turned over, taking whatever smashing came his way, or in essence, a long, sturdy pounding with this team. Look, it's not the guy's fault. I like to tease him. But the one X factor why I'm switching this up, Marshall Lattimore is no longer on the Saints to shut down Mike Evans. And Mike Evans has a lot of incentives to hit this week. He's got the 1,000-yard mark that he's looking at. He's got Baker Mayfield also has some contract incentives. So he gets like $500,000 for coming in top 10 in the following category. So yards per attempt, completion percentage, passing yards, touchdowns, and passer rating. He's currently top 5 in those instances. So it sounds like he also has something to play for. Mike Evans needs 70 receptions and 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns. I don't think he's going to get the 10 touchdowns, but he only needs 85 yards to get that 1,000-yard mark. I think that's going to be the key. So, and he needs 5 catches. So I just think Baker Mayfield's going to be throwing screen balls all day to Mike Evans. He's going to throw the long bomb a couple times his way. And really, like, what business do the Saints have in showing up here? They haven't showed up whatsoever. I don't know what motivation the Saints really have other than to potentially play upset. They really don't have any business trying to upset anyone. They have no chance as a road underdog. And the Bucs' potential, besides the incentives, if they win and the Rams lose, they get the 3 seed. Which is shocking to me, considering it's an NFC South team, that they may be the 3. But this just is the spot. You beat the shit out of a shit team. The Saints literally lost to the fucking Raiders by 15. And now, do you want to take 14.5 against the Bucs? Or, do you want to be a clown? Do you want to back Spencer Rattler? I don't even know if he's going to play the second half. I don't care. Like, the Bucs all the way. And, no, I'm not going to make it best bet. Not going to do it. But and then over under, this is I have a dead over game, and I haven't really been giving those out, but yeah, this to me looks like a dead over game. I think Tampa they come in. This will probably be like Tampa's quote unquote Super Bowl, where I think this is the game they show up, and then in the playoffs they could potentially be a one and done unless they somehow play another shit team. But I just don't. I don't know who that could be. I don't know if they're even going to end up as the 3. They could end up locked into the 4 regardless, and I think that does come down to the Rams. But, come on. Sorry, guys. Trying to move on to the next game. All right. Sunday, 4 o'clock. Oh, God. Here we go. All right. Might as well start off strong. Sunday, 4 o'clock. Kansas City, Denver. Denver, win and in. Lose, you're going home. Denver's laying 10.5 at home, minus 550. The over-under is 40.5. Carson Wentz will be the starter. Chris Jones will not be playing for the Chiefs. Despite all that, the Chiefs are still getting 56% of the money, 78% of the tickets at 10.5. I mean, look, if you are a Barney, let's lay 10.5 with Denver. Denver needs a must-win. Denver's had a must-win for 3 weeks straight now, and they just lost in heartbreaking fashion every time. Last time we played Carson Wentz, he spanked our ass with the Philadelphia Eagles. But let's lay 10.5. Let's lay 10.5 against a division rival that we've only managed to beat once. Because that makes sense, right? I mean, why the fuck not? Why, Denver's defense basically can't cover an out route, but let's lay 10.5. Not me. Look, in all reality, I think Denver does get the win because I do think this is the over aggressive spot. I think Sean Payton played way too conservative in the last game and was playing for a tie. When you play for a tie, you lose. This time it's a must win. I think they're going to play for the win. I don't necessarily think they get this cover, though. Andy Reid is still a hell of a head coach. I don't have faith in their fucking offensive coordinator by any stretch, but Steve Spagnuolo, I mean, they can't bench everybody. I think there will be some starters out there for the Chiefs. And I think this one is just going to be unnecessarily a lot closer than we think. Denver ATS is home favorites. I think it's like they've only had one ATS loss. I'm pulling it up now, but they're 5-0 ATS at home. So I don't know, could be wrong, but I think half those games were the NFC South, and the other half, I don't think they were really good teams. And the Chiefs are, I hate to say it, a really good team. So I have a lot of concerns here just laying the 10.5 with Denver, even in a must win. An interesting stat I did here, it was like teams with nothing to play for versus teams that need to win. I think the teams that don't have anything to play for, they tend to cover 60% of the time. And I just don't think laying this big of a number with Denver, like if they win by 10, like if they're up 17 and then Kansas City gets a late touchdown, that's how I could see them losing this cover. I could also see it just being unnecessarily close the whole fucking game, where it's really back and forth, and then Denver has to pull off some miracle. Like, it would not surprise me if this game just finds a new way to fucking break my heart. But we'll move on. Let's see what happens. LA Chargers, Raiders. Raiders are now catching 4.5. They're plus 176. The Chargers minus 210, minus 4.5. Over under is 40.5. The Chargers will be watching the Steelers game very closely, because if the Steelers do win, then the Chargers have absolutely nothing to play for. They will be locked into the 6th. If the Steelers lose, the Chargers probably have a little more motivation because they could come out for the 5. And as I mentioned earlier with I wanted to say it was Pittsburgh. I mentioned this earlier, but I'll bring it up again. The Chargers, if they win and the Steelers lose, Chargers move to the 5th seed. They play Houston. If they stay in the 6th, they have to go on the road to Baltimore in the Harbaugh Bowl too. And according to the Chargers and according to Coach Jim Harbaugh, he would love to be the 5th seed and would do what's best for the team. So this is like a sit and wait game for me. I think I did a parlay where I put in the Raiders plus 4.5 and the Steelers money line. Some books actually have it blocked. So if you can get that parlay in still, that would be my official play for right now, because I think the Steelers will win. And I think what will happen is the Chargers will essentially have nothing to play for. That number might jump down to like 2.5, maybe even 3.5. So I'm just trying to get ahead of the number here. I don't know if it's necessarily the right angle. Dobbins only needs 58 rushing yards for an incentive, so that's a player stat to keep in mind. Chargers first half is also a play. Raiders have not done well at home. They haven't done well all year, but weird spot, but I think they play one hard game for Antonio Pierce. There's questions about whether he'll be out the door or not. No strong play here. I got over 40.5 in this game as well. Other than that, I'm not too sold on either team. Next up, Seattle Seahawks are traveling as 6.5-point favorites. They're going to SoFi Stadium to take on the LA Rams, who are currently a plus 240 home underdog, plus 6.5, over under 38.5. And Jimmy Garoppolo will be making his LA Rams debut at quarterback, and Kyron Williams will also be benched. No Cooper Kupp, no Puka Nacua. Rams are getting 64% of the bets, but the Seahawks are getting 59% of the money. So pros seem to be on the Seahawks. Joes and the public seem to be all over LA at 6.5. Over-under is 38.5 points. And Jimmy Garoppolo, one guy who's kind of had success against the NFC West, considering he was the Niners quarterback. And by success, I mean he had the most success at getting his ass kicked by this Seahawks team. He's 1-4 straight up in his career. The Rams are essentially resting up. They've secured the division. They, oddly enough, though, have not secured the 3 spot. And I mentioned this earlier with Tampa, but the Rams, if the Rams lose and the Bucs win, Rams drop to 4. If the Bucs lose, then this game really, really doesn't matter for the Rams. They'll have the 3 secured. They really have nothing to play for. Seahawks, they're kind of playing for pride at this point. I think for the Rams, they should have wanted to come out a little bit stronger and not rest up as much, because if you're the 4, you essentially are guaranteeing yourself to have a home date with the Detroit Lions or Minnesota Vikings. Both those teams, I think, will slaughter the Rams or the Bucs, but Geno Smith is coming out and probably playing for stats and incentives. He only needs, I think 180 something yards to get $4 million. Oh, he needs a win and 200 yards to get $4 million. My official play here, and this is for our contest, you can wait till Tampa. I would maybe wait till Tampa first half to see what's going on, to try to get ahead of this number. But the Seahawks have been dreadful to bet on all to end the season. They've lost 3 straight. They didn't cover last Thursday against the Bears. So while there is rest advantage, that was just a real ugly rain game. And maybe for me, I'm just thinking the Rams, even with Jimmy G, I think it's worth a chance right now at 6.5. The Rams have either won outright or covered this number in 9 of their last 10 against the Seahawks going back to 2020. But for the sakes of right now, just to get through this video, my play, Rams plus 6.5, but I'm taking Seattle to win on the money line. Love the Seahawks in a teaser parlay, though. I would tease that down to 0.5 point. No real official plays otherwise in terms of that game. And oh wait, I never even put it up. All right, finally in the 4 o'clock, or no, we have 2 more games in the 4 o'clock slate. Next up, it's the Miami Dolphins. They are now 1.5 point underdogs on the road, going to MetLife Stadium to take on the New Jersey Jetropolitans. Aaron Rodgers sucks. Island is very live and well. There's tons of stock in there. Tua Tagovailoa's hip injury is obviously the key. He is apparently trending out of this game. Tyler Snoop Huntley will probably be making his start once again. The money line's at a pick 'em. Over-under is 38.5. Right now, Miami, public side, 71% of the bet, 67% of the money. I don't know if I can bet on Tyler Huntley. This is another no play for me. It's not that I'm afraid of making a bad bet or making a bad pick, but this to me just seems like Aaron Rodgers as a bumfuck will win a meaningless game against a third-rate UFL quarterback, despite the fact that Tyler Huntley has made a Pro Bowl more recently than Aaron Rodgers, if I'm not mistaken. And I mean, considering Rodgers, how bad he looked, the Jets are also a close your eye special. They got their asses whopped by Buffalo. Aaron Rodgers was supposed to get his 500th touchdown. He didn't do it. But now he gets to go home. They'll do it in front of the home fans. It'll look nice. Devontae Adams, anytime touchdown once again, I think is very live. Now, if this was Miami with Tua and it was still 1.5, this would have been my best bet. Can't do it, though. I'm not there. So, for me, this is last time, one more time. Jets sucks, but I'm taking them. Over under 38.5, dead under game, as far as I'm concerned. I don't think the Jets are going to need to do much, and I don't really know if Tyler Huntley is really going to be able to move the ball. I mean, he clearly can't move the ball as well as Tua, but I mean, this could be a Jets wake-up spot, even though they have no reason to wake up. Miami, like, I think their motivation, the last note I'll make, their motivation is, like, they need a win, but they need, like, a lot of help. They need Cincy to lose. They need Denver to lose. I think this is, like, another halftime spot where, like, they could play hard in the first half, and then eventually, if they see that Denver's up big, they may just pack it in and put the backups in, see what they got. Maybe lay down, let Aaron Rodgers get the win. But yeah, otherwise, I have no real feel otherwise. All right, last game in the 4 o'clock window, I should say. San Francisco 49ers, they are catching 4.5 points on the road. They are benching Brock Purdy. They are starting the Pastronaut, a.k.a. Joshua Dobbs, and they are catching 4.5. They are plus 198 on the money line on FanDuel, minus 240 for the Arizona Cardinals, who are at home as a division home favorite, minus 4.5. Over-under is 42.5 points. In San Francisco, big public side, 58% of the money, 64% of the bets. I don't really have much here. The Pastronaut, great narrative. The guy was a loser. The guy did not really win a lot of games as a starting quarterback last season. I think he won the 2 crazy games for Minnesota, and then Sunday Night Football, they played Denver, and he just tanked, and then eventually led to his benching. And since then, kind of had a late signing with San Francisco, and now he's, getting another shot one more time to see if a team wants to pick him up. But, I'm looking here, even at his time in Arizona, he had 1 win against a Dallas Cowboys in a weird fluky spot, lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 with Arizona. Then, he got traded to Minnesota. He won his 1 start against New Orleans. He beat Atlanta when he came in late for that game by 3. Lost to Denver, lost to Chicago, barely beat the Raiders 3-0. Yeah, other than that, Arizona, they're out. This is a dead game. When in doubt, it's usually take the points, but I don't have faith in Joshua Dobbs in this spot. He looked good on the final drive in Detroit, but that was pretty much a dead game anyways. The Lions were going to win. That was more running the clock down. And normally, I think McVay owns the card, or not McVay. I think it's Shanahan. Shanahan owns the Cardinals. Normally, he does very well. I'm just fading this Niners team coming off of their Super Bowl game where they really woke up and shelled out for, and then unfortunately in the biggest moment, Brock Purdy threw 2 interceptions. They lost. I don't really think Joshua Dobbs gives them a better chance to win this game. This line to me just feels like Brock Purdy will be playing, and he's not. So normally, in weird spots with Arizona, they're a team I have not been really strong on one way or the other, but I'm picking Arizona to win this one. I actually think they win this one easy. I think San Francisco is ready to pack it in, and I'm going to lay the points with Kyler. I know Mansman will be disappointed, but it is what it is. All right, finally, last game, Sunday Night Football, Minnesota Vikings, Detroit Lions for all the marbles for the number 1 seed in the NFC for the wild card bye. Vikings are 2.5-point road underdogs, plus 130. The Lions minus 2.5, minus 154. Over under is 56.5 points. And yeah, and again, this is going to be a short and sweet handicap. This is going to be my best bet. I am taking the Detroit Lions to win this one and to cover the 2.5. Now, the last time these two teams played, Vikings lost by 2 in a game that very much went back and forth, where I think Detroit even won it in last-minute fashion. That was in Minnesota. Detroit got short rest, but the one thing is you cannot say anything. The one thing you can't say about Dan Campbell is they're going to rest guys. They clearly don't rest guys because they didn't rest guys against the Niners. And one could make the argument, well, they didn't really look good against the Niners. And if the Niners are an inferior team to the Vikings, well, this should be a great spot for the Minnesota Vikings. Except, the only time you should have faded the Lions as a favorite was when they played Buffalo. And that was also another game where it was very, I don't know if it was very much back and forth, but it was a very high-scoring game. Kind of got close towards the end unnecessarily, but that was really the only spot where like fading the Lions as a favorite was a good move. Since then, they are pretty much like a deadbolt winner as a home favorite. Or maybe not. 4-4 ATS, but I think they've won. I was wrong about Minnesota last week. Really, I think I was wrong about Green Bay. Because my handicap was I thought Green Bay was just as good. Clearly, they're not. But I just think this is the game Detroit shells out for. This is the game they've been essentially looking forward to all year to close out the season. This is the game I think they get up for. Minnesota, I think they are overdue for a letdown. I don't know if they necessarily get blown out. I think this could be another close game, but I'm not betting against Dan Campbell. I am not betting against, a Jared Goff who's been fucking on fire right now. I'm not betting against this offense. That is really what it comes down to. Alex Anzalone, too, for the Lions, a big key member on that defense, I think is expected to return as well. So I think that's going to be a major key difference from the last time these two teams played. And I think, like, historically speaking, I think Dan Campbell, I think the Lions have owned the Vikings since Dan Campbell became head coach. Wanted to say he's won like 4 or 5 straight. I'm going to try to pull that up real fast for you guys. 4 straight he's lost. 5 of the last 6 since 2021, the Vikings have lost to the Lions. So, yeah, if it's only 2.5 under a field goal, I'm hammering the Lions. Best bet. All right, that's it. That's all 16 games. Money Management should be returning. My co-host will be returning around Wild Card Weekend. Stay tuned when we make that announcement. Thank you guys for checking us out. Good luck today with all your bets. And as we always say, go win and make that motherfucking money. Have a good night.